it came as a surprise, not the biggest surprise. Like I said, I'm sort of numb to the BJ Penn story at this point. 8 fights in a row. He has not won, 7 losses in a row. And he just had that fight against Clay Guida, and he just doesn't look like himself. And, he's getting into issues. He's getting into trouble outside of the cage. And we don't know about what's going on in his personal life right now. I have been told, I've said this story before where I saw him the weekend of his Hall of Fame induction, and it seemed like he was having a good time in Vegas. It seemed like he was, loving life. You understand what I'm saying? And I said to him, congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he said, I'm not a Hall of Famer. I'm not retired. It seemed like he just didn't know how to react to that. And this is a guy who's, for the majority of his life, who was shaped by being a mixed martial artist, a BJJ practitioner. He was the prodigy. He was this phenom. And it seems like he's having a lot of trouble dealing with life after fighting. And so there's a thought process out there that, hey, if he's training for a fight, if he's gunning for a date, if he's got some structure in his life, that's good. That's ultimately a lot healthier than sitting on the couch and just passing time. But that's a good thing to say if you're like, oh, you got a job and you're focused on your job. No, you're gunning for a fight where people are punching you, kicking you. Like, you could get really hurt. And so I don't understand how we could advocate, how the UFC can advocate, how Dana White can advocate for the retirement of Chuck Liddell, the retirement of Big Nog and other people, and we keep trotting this guy out there, a legend. I talked to someone this weekend who said to me, like, BJ Penn, this guy, he's like spoke about him like he's a scrub, like he has no business being in the cage, like a total non-factor of a fighter. That's the way they spoke about him. There was a time back in 2009 where I was sitting there watching him fight. I've told the story before, against Diego Sanchez, UFC 107, Memphis, Tennessee, and I was looking at the best fighter on the planet, the absolute best fighter on the planet. And there is a part of me that feels like all the stuff that's going on outside of the cage has something to do with the stuff that's going on in the cage. I don't feel like he should be fighting. And I feel like it is negligent at this point to put him in the cage fighting other people who do not like him, who are going to try to hurt him. I'm not trying to protect him. I'm not trying to coddle him. I'm not trying to, he's not a baby. It's not someone that we cradle. It's not someone that, he's a grown man. But it's very clear that he's not the same fighter. He's losing every time, and it's not even close. Why are we doing this? Because he terrorized you? It's a cage fight. And like we could say, mind your business. You're not no, this is my business. My business is to talk about fighting. I talk about fighting for a living. It's actually quite literally my business to talk about things like this. This man should not be fighting. And this man should not be in a cage, whether it's Bellator, UFC, Ryzen, One, should not be fighting. Now, if you feel indebted to him, get him on the payroll like you did with Chuck and Big Nog. Do something like that. But how you can justify putting him in the cage against someone who clearly doesn't like him, to me, is something that I just can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around it. It's sad to watch, especially after we saw what happened last week. And that was a 28-year-old young man who was undefeated, a healthy boxer who had not taken the blows that BJ Penn has taken over the course of his career. How do you justify this? I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to antagonize anyone. Look at the numbers. Look at the amount of punches he's taking. Look at the damage he's taking. Look at the losses on the resume. How do you justify this? How does it make sense? It should have ended a long time ago. And yeah, he's hurting his legacy. Of course, there's people right now who only started watching fighting in like 2014, 15, who don't know BJ Penn. One of the greatest ever. Did unbelievable things at 155, at 170. Went all the way up to 205 to fight Lyoto Machida. People don't know these things about him because of what he's doing now, because of the situation that he's in. Things might not be good at home. Doesn't mean you put him in a cage. Or at the very least, in the UFC, shouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry. It should not happen. It's uncomfortable to watch. It's not safe. It's not right. And you can say all you want about win, lose, or draw. This is the last one. Says who? We thought that about the last one. You don't have to be a doctor to realize this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. So it's disappointing. But hey, Nik Lentz is going to take the fight, and I don't begrudge him for that. I mean, he's being offered a fight. He's got to feed his family. I just feel like this type of stuff shouldn't be happening. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.